Merry Meetle. Now, it doesn't look really dark in here, but it's probably coming up a little bit darker than I was hoping. And tonight it's going to be a bit of a different vlog. My poor boy Merlin, I ended up losing him, and I did do a recording of his last moments. I actually held him as he passed. I still took him to the vet at the appointed time, but any last bit of him was gone basically by the time we got there. So he pretty much died on arrival when we got there. But at least I got to hold him for a good hour beforehand and give him a big hug. So I'm hoping at least, you know, sometimes with animals and, you know, anything that you love, sometimes the best thing you can do is hold them as they pass. But this vlog tonight is, you know, I'm a little bit subdued, of course, because I've lost my beautiful boy, my rooster Merlin. And my room is a mess. My place is a bit of a mess because, to be honest, the last thing I want to do is cleaning or anything like that. I'm feeling pretty tired. With some trees falling down here as well. And they've taped the area off, but, you know, you can't, well, I can't really go anywhere because the tree hasn't been stabilised. And basically, you know, more limbs could be falling, and it's a bit precarious. So I'm pretty much taped in, and I'm waiting for, I'm just going to get myself comfy on my bed. I'm basically waiting for the power core and or the local council to come down with an arborist. Yes, I'm a horticulturist, but arbor is a very specific field of horticulture, which you just need. Oh, Pete Roosevelt sakes Christ. Shah, standing on my cup. Oh, my cat. Sorry. Yeah, you, Fuzzy. She was standing on my bee cup. I've got an enamel mug full of black, well, it's not going to come up on camera, full of black strap molasses. It's one of those things I like to have as a vegan for my iron, non-ham iron of course. But anyway, so, oh, Shah, why do your animals try and help you though? Disopportune time. Oh days. So, you know, I haven't shown my room yet since I've changed things about a bit, and you know, the furniture I've replaced and all that sort of jazz. That will come. I'll do a vlog on that. So, you know, yeah, today's feeling a bit raw, losing my pet. You know, I'm in an area where everyone's got dogs, and basically my rooster Merlin was like my dog. So it's quite funny today. This wasn't going to be a post about this. Yeah, I'll do a proper post on Merlin tomorrow or the next day. But it was quite funny. Not funny, but it was quite cute. Like, it looked like the ducks were in mourning today. It was so, and they were being so sweet. So my two boys were literally lying down next to the run where Merlin used to be, and where the two hens were lying, and it was like they were keeping the hens company because Merlin wasn't there, but they were also missing their friend because, you know, Merlin, one of the things he used to love doing, the rooster, was to duck watch, you know, and they know that he's missing, you know, and they knew something was wrong. But anyway, so tonight I don't think I've ever really addressed or shared And, you know, this is a personal diary. I remember being approached by, you know, some sort of TV series, and I'm like, no, it's okay. These are my stories, my journals, and now my battery is flashing grand. They're not, especially with how they do shit these days. These stories are basically my family, you know, not for everyone. To reproduce and bastardize and make it not about my family, which are basically the birds. And so this vlog, long-winded intro, is pretty much about why my nickname is Raven. And not because, you know, ravens are cool, but not because ravens are cool or anything like that, and seems to be in vogue, you know. But the ravens are very special to me, and they have been literally since I was a baby in the crib. I was born on the Rock of Gibraltar, and on the first day I was put outside in the balcony in my bassinet. My grandma went back inside for a moment or so, and she went to come back out with me in the bassinet, and she freaked out because there were 2 ravens pretty much on my bassinet. Well, one was on my bassinet, but there were 2 ravens on the balcony, and one was pretty much on the edge of my bassinet looking at me. And stupid Christian religions, you know, very judgmental of things such as ravens. They see them as evil and all that sort of nonsense. So she, you know, shooed them away and was worried, you know. And I don't remember a time in my life where I've never had, I should say, at least a pair of ravens in my life. You know, even when I was living in the high rise in the city, Melbourne City, at the QV building at the top floor, overlooking the State Library. And, you know, this is like the city. You don't really see well, you do, but, you know, they don't really hang out like they do in the burbs. And, you know, I even had a pair of ravens come up into my balcony up there, you know. But also going backwards, when I was a child, my mother became an elder of an Anglican church in Adelaide at St. Luke's. And this is before I moved out of home. I pretty much ran away from home. But I'd have the ravens actually approach me in the churchyard, and they would follow me and come up to me and, you know, sit at my feet and coo and talk. And again, religious nutters with their stupid superstitions. They gave me the nickname of Evil Raven, or Raven in a bad tone, because apparently to them ravens are evil, messengers of death and all that sort of bullshit. And so, you know, and the other thing I've had as well in my life, no matter where I go, new suburbs, and, you know, every now and again I will get someone say a comment of, oh, have you noticed all the ravens lately, when I've moved into a new area? And I'm like, what, they're not here already? No, not like this. Where are they're coming from, and why are they hanging around? And I know it's me. I can feel what they're feeling before I see them. I can hear what they're thinking or feeling before I see them approach. And it's something I've had with pretty much all animals since I was a little child, is I'd be able to communicate with them with thought, but not in an English language, just by pure thought without words, if that makes any sense. It's really weird. And I somehow will know what they're thinking or saying, and vice versa. So I don't know how that works. Never worked that out. So, you know, in my mid-20s, I started to just embrace that nickname of being called the evil raven, or raven as in a derogatory, and not because I was wanting to be bad, but it's because I love my ravens. I moved out of home pretty young. I was living on my own at 13. I was in a country I didn't want to be in. English is not my first language. And I had nowhere I could go and no one who would support me. But the one thing I've always had in my life is my ravens, and at least a pair of ravens. And when I took Marilyn to the vet yesterday and she passed, when I came out of the vet, I had a pair of ravens waiting at the gate there for me. And they basically followed me home. And this morning, those very two same ravens were up on my roof and walking for me to come out. And then when I came out, they were doing circles and flying low and talking to me. And, you know, in the last property I lived in, I had a raven come up to me the next day. It seemed to be his great-grandpa or something like that, a really big old bird. Bigger than a dog, is massive. I sometimes wonder if he even actually was a physical, corporeal bird and not a ghost or phantom of one, because he was sitting on the fence outside my window, looking in my window. And then within 2 weeks, I had 49 ravens. It was a whole family. And they would follow me everywhere. And, you know, they also would train hop. So they would follow me from station to station to station when I was going into town to teach class. And they'd be waiting at the station. And when I go home, they would go station to station. When I first moved here, the first day I went into the property, I had to sign online because we had no travelling ban because of COVID lockdowns, and the only way you could travel is if you had a proof that you had a lease signed. So I literally walked here for the first time from the station. I didn't get 10 metres to the property, and there was a baby raven that just plopped himself at my feet. So I bent down to say hello, and he literally walked around me, sizing me up. And when I looked up, his two parents were above us watching the interaction. And, you know, so it just is constant, and I love it. So to me, my ravens are actually my family, and my birds are actually my family. I love all animals. You know, I grew up with horses, not because I was rich, but because, you know, my mum and a parent, two parents wanted to pretty much, well, my mum wanted to sort of palm me off, and they had a daughter who was a coach, equestrian coach, who had a horse in dressage and show jumping 3-day events. And basically there was a horse on the lot at Henley's Lockley Riding Club in Adelaide that needed to be exercised and groomed and looked after because the owners just, you know, didn't have the time to, and they were going to put her down otherwise. So basically Diane's like, oh, you know, would you be interested? I'm like, hell yes. You don't need to ask a young girl that twice, you know. I didn't care. 3 a.m, 4 a.m. starts in the morning and working it pretty hard. And then you'd go to school and you'd still be drawing horses and, you know. So, I mean, I'm pretty close to all critters, you know, including reptiles and you name it. But there's something extra special about birds for me. And, of course, ravens, but just birds in general. I don't know, it's like they see me as another bird, and I see them as me or family. But anyway, that is the story of why my name is Raven, and the reason why I've got more at the end is because one of the ancestral spirits to my ethnos is actually the Morrigan, and she is one of the spirits that have presented herself to me, as well as others that are ethnic to my race or family. And, you know, so I sort of combined the two. I had a close relationship and a still close relationship, and I work with basically Freya, but I was pretty much pushed into the care of the Morgan by Freya and Wotan or Odin. They are both very close and dear to me. Wotan I've been seeing since I was a little girl as the old man with long grey white hair. He always told me riddles. He also has followed me everywhere, from the rocks of Gibraltar, the Rock of Gibraltar on the rock steps, to the balcony, to London, to Australia, and no matter what state I'm in, he'll pop up every now and again. And sometimes people also see him, so it's not in my head. Because they appear sometimes like they're corporeal, like they're actually real, like you could touch them, but they're not. And anyway, so, you know, that is why. Another little cute thing too is I don't have it in this room. I probably should get it. There are a pair of raven wings there that I was given that I keep with me, take with me everywhere. And there's a portrait there of a girl that looks like me with 3 ravens. But in my apothecary, I've got a ladder of every year that I've been working with the Morgan and practicing. And I knot it every year, and sometimes when I'm asleep I will see a vision or a dream of a raven feather that is placed somewhere, like on the curb or on a pole, and when I wake up from that, I get dressed, get out, even if it's 1 in the morning, and I go to that spot in my vision or dream, and there you go, there's actually a raven feather on the curb or on the pole, as I've seen in my dream. So every time I get given one of these raven feathers, I poke it into the ladder of knots of raven feathers, and in there's actually a couple of baby raven feathers also. So that is, you know, I guess a pretty personal share, but you know, just showing there's a background to why I have that name, that nickname, which originally was a put down name and a demonization of my character because of my closeness to the animals, especially the ravens. It's almost like some other humans know I'm closer to nature and animals than humanity, and I probably will never be close to humanity because my loyalty is to the natural world. Because to be honest, I think our souls reside in nature. How can you be loyal to the human race when the soul of the human race doesn't lie within the human race but within nature itself? Do you know what I'm saying? And in that is the parameters of what facts are. Science is pretty much an existential questioning of what is the natural world in all its, you know, realms. And I'm not talking about Frankenstein science. You know, science that doesn't respect nature, to me, is not science. It's a bastardization and Franken, as the term suggests. So there you go. That is why I'm called Raven, and that's why I use the name Ravenmor. In owning what people find distrustful and judgmental about me, and also in loving the connection I have to these beautiful creatures. And anyway, my camera battery is held up and I'm amazed. blessed be and merry part. And yeah, I'm still pretty cut up and sad about my beautiful fluffy black rooster Merlin. I didn't bury him today. I've still got him in his coffin. I did a recording of his coffin keepsakes that I've put in there for him. I also have a fondness for treasures that are natural, sticks and cuttings and shavings and trinkets that nature supplies and dried botanicals. And you know, I feel like a little bit of a Corvidae in that we like to collect these little things. So I've got all these little treasures that Merlin loved, that meant something to him, in his little coffin, with things that mean things to me as well in there to be with him. And yeah, so I aim to plant him in a planter tomorrow in his coffin, and I'm going to put that just outside the run, across from the run where the girls are, the two hens, so his spirit can be there with them, because I have no doubt he will be still hanging around them in his afterlife. If he doesn't come back as something else, he'd still be hanging around. Which is another thing I've noticed, is animals that have passed, they still hang around me, and every now and then I see glimpses of them, like shadow cats and all that sort of thing. But anyway, that's my little bit of a magical, I guess, or spirit, to me it's spiritual life, and why I use that name. So thank you for listening to my night story, my diary. And yeah, of course I don't give permission for my story to be used and told by someone else. These, I don't really have anything, and all I do have is my personal stories and experiences that are quite unique to me, that you don't hear and see every day. And I will not let those go to anything or anyone to profit off, or to fill a space. They're very personal to me, and they're very personal to the spirits and the souls, or souls that I love, be they scaled, feathered, or human, or just ancestral gods with S, gods. But anyway, blessed be and merry part. I'm going to have my bee cup of blackstrap molasses, my enamel cup, and I'm going to tuck in for the night. I'm pretty tired. Didn't realise how much I'd felt drained from all the events of the past couple of days. But anyway, thank you for listening in to my story time and my diary of ravens. Blessed be and merry part.